Hey guys, I'm here with...
I'm David Williams.
David Williams.
I'm the lead class designer on Firefall.
Firefall.
Indeed.
And that is a first-person shooter and third-person shooter.
First and third, yes.
With a
persistent world, persistent characters with level progression. We call Firefall a team-based action shooter.
And you're free to play.
It is, in fact, entirely free to play. Free to download, free to play.
And was that a conscious decision recently due to changing markets, or was that always the plan?
No, that was really always the plan. Well, always as defined in the last 2 years. We've known for quite a while that we wanted to be free to play. We just think it's the right model. There's so many games, and mostly we want someone who likes the game to be able to tell their friend, hey, you should play this. Right. And for that person to have no reason not to play.
Yeah. So how long have you actually been working on this then?
I've been working on it for a little over 5 years now.
5 years?
Yeah, I was one of the early employees, and I've been working on it for quite a while.
But you didn't actually announce it until quite recently, really, did you?
1 year ago is when we announced it, absolutely.
And you're still hoping to get out by Christmas this year?
Yeah, we're on schedule right now for Christmas, yep.
And I think that's helped a lot for the press, hasn't it, the hype? Because sometimes they announce 3-4 years in advance, people get bored, they forget about it.
It was very intentional. We were quiet for a long time, which frankly makes recruiting very difficult. You know, but we've got great recruiters, and we were able to get just an amazing team together. But you're absolutely right. When you start talking about the game too early, people stop caring, and we wanted to avoid that. So
you've had a sort of constant stream of announcements, and reveals.
Absolutely.
And today you're showing PvE.
Well, we're showing PvP today. We're showing a brand new map. It's never been seen before, called Orbital Comm Tower. The gameplay mode that we're playing right now is an attack defend map that we call Sabotage, and this is a little larger than the maps we've shown in the past. The one we've shown in the past were more like 5v5 maps. This one is upwards of 10v10, maybe up to 15 against 15. So we consider sort of a medium-sized map for us. And here at Gamescom, it's the first time we've shown off this map type.
And can the public who are coming to Gamescom, can they get hands on it at all this week?
Oh, they're going to be able to play this map the whole week. So yeah.
Right in our booth behind you?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome. They'll like that. So in your Sabotage mode, it's a linear capture the points?
Yep, A, B, C. You capture them in order, and then you switch sides, and the new attacking team has to do it faster than the last team did.
Right, so you can't recapture, you can't sort of push them back.
Right, that's correct. Yeah, once you've completely captured the point, you move on to the next one. Now, when you do hack the point, when you do hack the terminal at point A, the defending team has 30 seconds to unhack it, to hack it back before it flips. But once it does, that's permanent.
And does that have an overtime feature? So if they've hacked it, say 25%, it has to sort of tick?
No, sir. You've got the 30 seconds to get it to finish the hack.
And how long does the hack take?
The hack is 30 seconds, and it takes you 5 seconds to start a new hack. Right. So if you get there with 26 seconds later, you're not going to finish in time. Yeah.
Right, so players can choose between 3 different classes?
Yeah, here at Gamescom, there's just 3 classes playable. We have already announced our 4th class. We announced the Engineer at China Joy, and but the Engineer is not playable here. It will be playable at PAX.
When you're showing the PvE.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, we'll be showing PvE, we'll show the Engineer. PAX is a really big show for us. I mean, it's where we first announced, so it's near and dear to our hearts, and we're going to be showing a lot of stuff at PAX. So
could you go into, for people who don't know, a bit about the classes and how they're configured and how people...
Absolutely. So in Firefall, we call our classes battle frames, because your character is learning how to use all of these different battle frames, and whenever you see a battle frame terminal, you can switch classes, right? You don't have to level up different characters or anything like that. You got one character, you just have different loadouts, different sets of gear, and you switch classes at any battle frame at any time. And you find those battle frames at every spawn point and so on. And each of the classes has a different primary weapon, different signature weapon for that class, as well as signature abilities that go in your character's backpack. So as you're progressing your character, leveling up, you gain access to new abilities, new weapons with different alt fires, that sort of thing.
And you have independent levels for each character class.
That's correct.
So you don't need multiple characters.
Exactly right. One character learns all the battle frames.
And you mentioned the backpack. It's more sort of a jetpack most of the time, is it not?
Well, we all of our battle frames have jetpacks, no question. The assault class has it in his boots. The medic has it built into his backpack. But the backpack is where your energy resides, and it's where your abilities reside. So when you're choosing which abilities you want to use for your character, those ability modules are going to go into your backpack, and that's going to determine what abilities you have available when you're using that loadout in the field of battle.
And you have 3 abilities per character per loadout.
That's the maximum, actually.
Yeah.
When you first start out the game, your backpack might only have 1 ability slot available.
Right.
So as you're progressing, you're going to unlock you're going to get access to better backpacks. Those backpacks have more ability slots. You get new abilities, you put them into the slots, you choose which ones are best for your playstyle.
And unlike some other games, you want this to be more about skill. So the cooldown times are quite long, I saw in the demo. Yeah, sort of about a minute long.
Yeah. The cooldowns on the abilities are moderately long. This game is focused on the weapons. This is a skill-based shooter. The abilities are important, but at the end of the day, the game is about the guns.
Yeah, they turn the tide of battle, really.
Very much so.
Give you a good opportunity. Something like smash downs and things.
Crater is probably my favorite ability in the game. This is one of the abilities on the assault class. When he triggers this ability, no matter how high up he's gotten from his jet boots, he goes slamming down into the ground, big AoE damage, and it does more damage the higher you were when you triggered it.
Right.
So if you use one of his afterburn abilities to get really high up, and then use the crater, you start to see some of the combos of these abilities in the game.
But again, that seems to take quite a lot of skill to get the timing right.
Yeah, especially when your opponents are running around like crazy people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a lot of mobility in Firefall, so.
We've got a lot of Tribes fans. So they want to know, can they ski in this game?
Now, we don't have tribe-style skiing, but we do have a lot of movement-based abilities, a lot of movement-based gameplay. Now, you talk about Tribes fans. Our lead designer is a fellow by the name of Scott Youngblood, who was the lead designer on Tribes and Tribes 2.
All right.
So believe me when I tell you that movement is an integral part of Firefall.
And I know you're not showing PvE here, but could you sort of explain it a bit for people?
Absolutely. So our PvE is a co-op open world, and it's going to support hundreds and hundreds of players at a time. And there's just tons of stuff to do. I mean, obviously, you're going to start out with sort of the backstory of the world. You're going to learn, you're going to go on sort of story-specific missions. Those are all going to be available. Where you're going to learn about the melding. You're going to learn about the chosen, the nasty guys that are coming out of the melding, trying to kill us all.
They're your enemies.
They're one of your enemies, but there's also lots of these creatures that have been mutated by the melding, and you have to fight them as well because they just don't like us human types.
And is the main goal in PvE to collect resources, really?
Absolutely, that's correct. So you're going to be going out in PvE. You're obviously gaining experience, finding new gear, but a big part of it is gathering those resources that you'll be able to use in your tech tree to advance yourself along the tech tree, get yourself access to new equipment, new blueprints, new even better thumpers and other items that you need to do even better resource collection. And it's just a bit of a cycle, of course. There's always something new to get.
The thumper is the big drilling sort of thing?
Yes, exactly correct. It's a big drilling device that's used to extract crystite materials out of the ground.
Currency in the game?
Yes, crystite is what we call the perfect energy source. Crystite was found on the asteroids that fell to Earth during the Firefall event, which happened I think it's about 100 years before the game begins. And during the Firefall, all these asteroids came crashing to Earth, destroyed cities everywhere. But this crystite material, when you run a charge through it, actually gives off an enormous amount of energy with no byproduct. And everyone thought it was a perfect energy source. But it turns out that when we used too much of it, it opened up a rift through which came the melding and covered the Earth and destroyed 98% of the Earth. And the players are living in this small bubble where an enormous crystite generator is preventing the melding from collapsing. And so over the course of time, the players will be opening up new areas of gameplay by building and powering up new melding repulsor technology, and opening up new gameplay experiences.
And in PvE, how many people can you sort of group with and play with and go around with?
We don't really have a specific number there. We're thinking, 4 or 5 is going to be a typical group.
And so you can sort of set up your own clans, but there's no sort of territory control or...
Not at launch.
Not at launch. Very shifty.
You have to understand, we've been working on this game for a really long time. We've got some really big ideas in our head, but what we don't want to do is release a bunch of half-baked gameplay. We've got, like I said, huge ideas, but everything we release, we want to be just polished and awesome. So, we would rather release fewer features that are all fun than try to release everything that's in our head all at once and deliver kind of a mishmash of a game.
So tech-wise,
yep.
What graphics cards are you using to power your game at sort of max detail settings?
Well, max detail settings as big as you can get, really. I would say, I think the ones we're using here are 480s, I believe.
560s.
560s? My apologies. I have to tell you, I'm not the hardware guy. I'm classes, abilities, and weapons guy. But
here it's running fluidly. There's no slowdowns.
Yeah, I haven't seen any hitching really.
No.
It's been pretty great.
So people are going to be able to play this game regardless of how old the PCs are. Because I think you mentioned it's very scalable as well.
Yeah, our programmers have done a phenomenal job with visual scaling. They want this game to be playable by everybody's second computer and at the little PC cafes. And so there really is a whole lot of downscaling that can be done visually that these guys have put in, and the game still runs. I mean, this is a shooter. You have to get 20, 30 frames at a minimum, but more importantly, they have to be consistent frames, right? It's not good enough to have
pitching.
Yeah, if it's 20 and then it's 60 and then it's 22 and then it's 89, that's terrible. I would much rather have a consistent 23, 24 all the time, so you can be used to it.
Is there anything else you wish to say before we wrap this up?
Hey, anyone who wants to try out the beta should go to firefallthegame.com, sign up on our forums, and that is your entry into beta, and we'll be inviting people into the beta starting next month.
And you're coming up to release at Christmas, and you'll be doing a few other things I think you mentioned.
Oh yeah. Yeah, lots of fun stuff.
That's Firefall. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.